Welcome to Inspired Living with Cynthia, your weekly dose of purpose, passion, and perspective. This is the space where real conversations meet real inspiration, where we uncover the tools, stories, and insights that help you live boldly, think clearly, and walk confidently into the life you were created for. So settle in, open your heart, and get ready to be uplifted, challenged, and inspired. This is Inspired Living with Cynthia.
Hello and welcome. Thank you for tuning in to Inspired Living. I'm your host, Cynthia Downing, and tonight we have a very special guest with us, my pastor of the last 10 years, Reverend Dr. Harold Virgil Bennett III. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I am.
Excellent. We are going to be talking tonight about holding the pieces. We're going to discuss profound loss and how to just inspire yourself to get back on track. So again, welcome and thank you for being with me. A little bit about Pastor Bennett. He's a Morehouse man.
I am.
He holds a PhD as well as a divinity, doctorate degree in divinity.
That's right.
And he is also an attorney. I imagine that parallel, but he works it well. So tonight we're going to talk about what inspired living is for my pastor and just some things that he has had to overcome. So sit back, enjoy, and let's dive in. So my first question tonight is, what is inspired living to you?
That's a good question. So to me, when I think of inspired living, it's really living with purpose, with passion. Every day you wake up and you're trying to live out the goals, the passion that you believe God has placed you here for. It also means growth, and then also just being able to connect with your community, your village. So to me, it's always about trying to live out that purpose, to inspire other people to live out their purpose.
Excellent, excellent. So tell me, who are some of the first people in your life that really inspired you to do what you do?
So my dad was probably my first,
Okay.
because I always joke that I literally, before I was born, I knew church. So my mother was a musician, so she was playing when she was pregnant with me. My dad was a deacon. And so when I got old enough to see the service that they gave and the fact that they just love being able to be a blessing to others, it inspired me to really find my passion in serving. And then Larry Hardaway, the attorney, he was my mentor. He was the first Black attorney that I saw. And so in the work that he did in the community, NAACP, civil rights, he inspired me to want to come back home and to service my community, to empower them through the legal system. And then obviously, Dr. King was the reason I went to Morehouse, and just, his life as a preacher, his sacrifice that he gave literally of himself for his purpose, for his passions. Those are the people that really inspire me.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, what is your core value that drives every decision that you make?
My mother used to always tell me, to whom much is given, much is required. And what she said was, if God has blessed you, God has blessed you, you give everything that you got to whatever you're involved in. So my passion is, and almost sometimes to a fault, I just want to do things to an excellent standard, right? Because I think that's what we are required to do when we have those gifts.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. That is for sure. Okay, every inspiring journey has some balance. Could you share a moment of significant challenge or a time when you truly got stuck or had some challenges?
Yeah, sure. So I can tell you two of my challenges. One was when 13 years ago, literally almost to the day my mother passed. And for me, I'm a mama's boy. My parents were my rock because we were just kind of close knit family. My mom, my dad, my brother, and I. And so I remember, when she got sick unexpectedly and she passed, I remember, praying to God. Because my mom was a servant, so if anyone should be afforded healing, I'm thinking that my mom would be one. So I would pray God heal her. And I just felt like God either ignored me or he didn't hear my prayer. And that's ironic for me being a preacher at the time.
Right.
I'm preaching to people about healing and God's will. But when she passed away, and I was there when she took her last breath. I remember driving on 60, and I just started arguing with God. How could you do this? And it got to a point that I didn't want to come to church anymore. I stopped coming to church for a while. I would literally drink myself sometimes to sleep because I just thought of having to deal with the fact that she was no longer here.
Right.
And then just having to deal with that loss. And then 4 months later, my dad died. And so now I've lost my strength, my village. And I just didn't know what I was going to do. So I was really like a ship without a sail. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I didn't want to preach anymore. I didn't want to practice law. I really just kind of wanted to quit everything because I thought that I could not succeed or move forward without them in mind.
Right. And that sounds like a very, very difficult time. So was there a piece of bad advice that you got during that period that you're glad that you ignored?
Oh, yes. And I know people mean well sometimes, but I would always hear people say, just know they're in a better place. And I know that,
right.
But I don't want to hear that at the time.
Right.
But the best piece of advice I got was, if you need to cry, cry. If you need to, whatever you need to do to get right with God, even if it's you're angry, get it out. Don't hold it in. And I think a lot of times, especially as Christians, we're taught that we have to be a certain way. We gotta keep the faith, but I never hear my friends say, just hold it in. They're in a better place. It's gonna be all right. I didn't want to hear that.
Right.
Right.
So, you don't want to hear it.
Right.
Yeah, at that time, you don't want to hear it. Okay, so tell me, what did rock bottom really look like for you during that time? I know you just shared some stuff about just not wanting to do what you knew you should be doing, but
Right.
not wanting to do it. And how did that ultimately serve you when you just knew that you were at rock bottom? How did you?
So let me just share with you. My rock bottom moment was this year, 2025, late 2024. I went through a separation and ultimately a divorce. And for me, that was rock bottom because it happened when didn't expect it, came out of nowhere, and I began to really doubt who I was. And so rock bottom for me was literally I was one Sunday I was going to come to church. I was going to just resign. I was going to quit my job. And I really just wanted to take my own life. That was rock bottom. And I remember just thinking about, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't have my mom. I don't have my dad. There's nothing else for me to live for. And I literally thought that. And that was rock bottom. And when I got to that place, that's when I think I really discovered the love that Jesus has for us. Because so often, I preach about it, I teach about it, but sometimes we think that the grace that God extends to others, the love, it can't extend to us because we feel we're not worthy. So when I was at that lowest point, my therapist helped me. I had a friend who went through the same thing I went through, who said, what makes you think God doesn't still love you? And then that point was when I really began to just, even in my preaching, begin to understand that no matter how far off you fall, God still loves you. So, So that was my rock bottom moment, and it really helped me to appreciate grace and the love of Christ more. So even now, when I deal with my parishioners, I always tell people, even if you messed up, God still loves you. Because you're His creation. I think about my girls. No matter how bad my girls may be, there's nothing I wouldn't do for them. So if I'm not waiting for my girls, just imagine how Christ would use us.
Absolutely. So what was the first small step that you took to really pull yourself out of those challenging times?
Realize that I needed help, and that because the preacher, everyone comes to you, but realizing that one, I needed professional help. There's nothing wrong with having a therapist,
That's right.
But also there's nothing wrong with appreciating the village you have around you. I always tell people like I truly love New Mount Zion. It may work me sometimes, but the people here, whenever you need something, they genuinely are there for you. I never forget when I had my leadership meeting, I told them what was going on in my personal life. They all came, prayed, put hands on me, and that made me realize I've got people that really care for me.
Right. That's awesome. What is the most important lesson that those moments taught you?
So I always talk about, Lord, give me strength for today. And so those moments, because when I look back when my parents died, and I say this a lot of times when I preach, there was some nights, I would cry, I would be hurt, but God would still wake me up the next day. So He gave me enough strength to make it through what I was going through. So I began to realize, no matter how hard it is, if you get to the next day, He's giving you that strength. So every day I just say, Lord, just give me the strength to make it through this day. And what I discovered is that we're much stronger than we sometimes think we are.
Yeah.
And then we realize. And so when you realize just how strong you are and how strong you can be in Christ and God, you can go forward and move forward. So now things that come our way now, if I made it through that, I literally eulogized both my parents within 4 months, went through, a situation with my family, and I'm still here. I know God can keep me. So that's the strength that I have.
That's absolutely true. I think about was it Jeremiah that wrestled with God all night long?
Yes.
And he was pretty mad.
Right. Yeah, and a lot of people in the Bible, you say Jacob, Jeremiah wanted to quit, Moses, all the men of God, they all are like, I'm not worthy, I don't think I can do this, but God still used them and they still fulfill their purpose in God. So
yeah. Jeremiah, Jacob, yep, absolutely. All right, so now let's talk about now. Tell me what the first hour of your day looks like now. How do you set the tone for your inspired day?
So I usually wake up about 4:30 every morning.
Okay.
So I wake up about 4:30, usually like 4:30 because the girls are usually asleep. So that gives me time for about 30 minutes to just kind of, talk to God, pray, figure out what I need to do that day. And then from about 5 to 6, I try to spend some time either walking or just meditation. And then from that point, the rest of my day is full, either working from 8 to 5 or church stuff. But usually I'm a morning person, so I like to get up early and I like to spend time with God and just kind of refresh myself.
Okay. So I'm sure you still have off days. How do you how do you handle it when things aren't exactly you know that you've overcome, you know that you're still living the path of the life that God has chosen you to live, but there's got to be a day or two that things are just off, that they're just not where you want them to be.
And so I have a lot of those days, but usually what I do is the following day I say yesterday is past. I can't change it, whatever happened, but now I can make today a better day. So a lot of times I used to wallow day in and day out, but I realized, hey, if you made it to the next day, you had a bad day. We all had bad days, and you just learn from that.
Right. All right. How do you define success for yourself today? And has that definition changed over time?
It has, because to me, successful used to be I wanted to be a judge, I wanted to have all this money, I wanted to have all these titles. But to me now, success is just knowing that I've impacted somebody's life. And even if it's a small thing, just knowing that I've said something, I've done something to make someone's life better that day or in the future, just to be able to inspire them, to show them the love that Christ has showed me through my actions.
Absolutely. Right. What is a book, poem, or quote that you return to time and time again to just give yourself inspiration?
To thy own self be true. That's what I use because it reminds me that at the end of the day, if you're just true to who you are, that's what, to me, that's what being successful is. Just be who you are, be who God created you. And as long as you can go to bed knowing that, you were true to who you are, I think that's what makes, the day worthwhile for me.
Right, inspired living. Well, I'm talking with my guest, Reverend Harold Bennett, and we're sharing about just picking up the pieces and continuing on with life when you face some pretty devastating things. So we're going to end with some rapid fire questions before we get to our closing questions. Now, these are just questions to help the audience get to know you a little bit more.
Okay.
What is a small thing that brings you immense joy?
Zaxby's.
Exactly. I like Zaxby's. Okay. All right. What's the best advice you've ever received in 5 words or less?
5 words or less. But they say, Junior, don't be stupid. Whenever I would go out and do hang out with friends, like Junior, don't be stupid. And I tell my girls that I just don't do anything stupid. Just
don't be stupid. Okay. Fill in the blank. The world needs more
love.
Yeah. Okay. One thing you're most grateful for in this exact moment.
My girls.
Yeah. My grandson just, I love my daughter, but my grandson is my heart. What's your favorite scent or sound?
My favorite scent is red velvet cake. I don't know why. That's what I grew up on.
There's a theme here. Food.
That's my favorite scent.
All right. What's a belief that you hold that many people might disagree with?
Your mistakes are a part of who you are. That some people always try to dismiss, but sometimes their mistakes they help make you who you are.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people would disagree with that. Okay, and finally, what is one uninspired activity you do just for fun?
Oh, I play the PlayStation. When I get home from church on Sundays, I go right onto the couch and I play until I fall asleep. Okay, it's just it's a mindless thing, but I do it.
Okay, yeah. PlayStation. I haven't figured it out yet. My grandson gets quite angry with me. Grandma. All right, let's wrap it up. 2 last questions to wrap up. What is one message you hope every listener takes away from our conversation today?
The one thing I would hope everyone takes away is that no matter how far you think you may have fallen, you've never fallen low enough for the love of Christ to pick you back up. And no matter how many mistakes you made in life, if you're listening to this, you've been given another opportunity to make things right, to make things better.
Yep. All right. And now, just tell us what's the best place for the audience to connect with you and to learn more about your incredible work here at New Mount Zion or any of your nonprofit work. What's the best way for them to connect with you?
Join us every Sunday, 11 a.m., New Mount Zion, 713 North 8th Street, Haiti City, Florida. We love to have you, just to welcome. I love meeting new people, and we have a wonderful welcoming church. So I'd love for you to come and get a chance to meet me.
That's right, New Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church here in the great city of Haines City, Florida.
Heart of Florida.
Heart of Florida. Well, thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
time,
Yes,
Pastor. I certainly appreciate you being so candid and honest about just sharing your inspiration.
Thank you.
We truly appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that is our time today. Thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to being with you next Tuesday at the same time. Have a great rest of your week.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Inspired Living with Cynthia, your weekly dose of purpose, passion, and perspective. I hope today's conversation encouraged you, empowered you, and gave you something meaningful to carry into your week. Remember, inspiration isn't just something you hear, it's something you live. So take what you've learned, apply it with courage, and keep moving toward the life that's calling you. Until next time, reminding you to stay inspired, stay intentional, and stay true to your purpose. Have a blessed and beautiful week.